April 1st, 2019, 1:53 p.m. It's been about 1:01 p.m., a little after that actually. I was doing a video, a little lengthy, and I've done that before, and I've been having the problems over the last, say, 8 months to a point, while I'm rambling and in excitement or a situation of rambling into the video trying to get stuff out to where I have to use the restroom, and it's incontinence is what somebody's trying to play with. But I'm gonna say straight ass out, I was implanted without it being on paperwork back in January 26th to January 28th, 2010, and they're trying to tell me it's a legal implant, but nobody and their mom, not even the doctors, have access to knowing this implant's there, or else when I'm going to the hospital, the headaches could be understood that there's some type of back feed, whatever it be, by the implant. The implant that I'm talking, I'm tired of making it conspiratorized to where people's like, that's unbelievable, psychotic. Check into Criminality 2015 reports of them test trialing brain stimulation on criminals. With that, it isn't certified. I've called around so far. As far as I know, there's nothing certified to allow them to not only just enforce, like forced electroshock therapy, to be able to do this. I was told no. It would have to have some type of consent, even by the person it's being forced onto, if it even has the ability to be forced. By them intimidating of that force is actually illegal. Some states misdemeanor until it escalates, some states felony until it escalates, depending on how it worked out. Even just the intimidation of I'm going to harm, touch, operate on you illegally without having any paperwork or just to intimidate you with. With that being said, the implant causing my body not to function right, and this is the first time that where I was able to hold it back before. This is the first time that it even though it's consistently soft, that I put a peck in my pants. While I have neighbors in here and they utilize LRAD, is what I'm gonna say, wiretapping, eavesdropping, all this shit, and yo bitch, whatever. They're all homosexuals too. The law enforcement I'm dealing with is homosexual, and I want to throw this out. Homosexual organized crime is what I was working on 4 years ago, starting to dub it just by that. Columbus, Ohio is supposedly statistic number 2 for homosexuality and support in the country. That's kind of crazy, don't you think? I'm in number 2 in talking, and the crazy part is not being believed that there's some type of homosexual criminality going on. No, it's just, that's a normal social life thing. Your whole community's homosexual, literally. The damn city. They might as well, not to harm, but the whole city, literally. Rainbows. And we had discussion of other people witnessing this. All of downtown, fucking rainbows on their window. It doesn't mean that they're gay and that somebody trying to defend it. Just defend it in my benefit for right now. Bear with it like you tell me to bear with the situation myself. You didn't put together there's a possibility of homosexual organized crime, homosexual organizational group situation. I was told legally here way in the past by gangland units that it doesn't necessarily have to be a gang. It could be a group of people. They don't need a set. They don't need to be claiming Crip blood. They don't need to be claiming Southside Posse. It just has to be a group of people to be included as a gang. Don't need a set or claim. Need the evidence that they're grouping, though. They're associated in that group. Some of that works out to where they're associated with the crime, but they're not of the same groups. Anyways, to get off of that, back into the incontinence. It's where the implant is numbing my ability to understand body functions to a point. This is only when I just woke up though, and there's been other incidences that fully, even though I have to go, and it's almost just like I can't control not going, I've always held it back. I've always trying to break the sabotage the implant's doing to the mind and the body, and it's worked. Over the years, I've been getting weaker to the signal to a point. Not just signals, the power and the strength of electrical shock going through the brain, much less the body. There's another incident I'm walking through, and I know where some of the start is. It's from Broad Street, McDowell, back down this way, and this was 2 nights ago. Again, another situation. It has to be this strip right here that seems to like trying to know about the implant and whatnot, causing a diarrheal effect to where I almost had crapped in my pants. And so I get to the house, and I'm all full blown needing to have to use the restroom. Completely where it would have spattered without being sick. Wow, just a rush. I held back. I had to bite down. I was concentrating on something else while there's a burning electrical, like mind dominating situation going through. Taste electrode going through my tongue like a 9-volt battery. The taste of the alkaloid of that. But anyways, with that being said, trying to concentrate, and it helped out a little bit. And I figured like this, I already ate something on top while I was out. Somebody spiked more coffee, which has also happened with X-Lax or whatever it be, that I also, on top of knowing that it's the implant or the electronical zap going through the mind and body, where the concentration of the body functions as, hey, you need to use the bathroom, get to one quickly, to you're using the bathroom now, fuck it. It enforcing the thought rather than me being able to control that thought. The functionality. Anyways, with that being said, I took X-Lax myself. And I do that occasionally. I wish I had some charcoal too, to flush my system out from being contaminated or whatever it be. And that was hard to hold back. I held that, not trying to be sick with it. I held back only 5 more extra minutes, even though that was a work situation. And they tell you not to do that if you have to go real bad, because you can mess your mind and body up and accidentally go when you don't have to the next time. But that's something that was read, and apparently that's what just happened to a point. But I know that it isn't exactly factual because of the electrical power going through the mind. It's hard to explain for anybody that hasn't had any electrode shock to their brain, like electroshock therapy. I've never been lawfully through that as far as on paperwork or enforced, but it has happened while the implant was being implanted. Other electrical shock situations happening of other implants without it being directly connected to a battery, external use, little dialoids here and there, but anyways, and external electroshock by whatever machines that they use. But people's like, this is unbelievable shit, don't have to listen to it. Really? I'm tired of listening to the situation myself. But anyhow, if you had that shock yourself, you'd understand how much your mind would go off concentration of functionality and trying to in-depth of what's going on. So you may lose bodily functions to a point, depending on what it is. Or the recollection that it's about to happen. You may have the competency enough to hold on to it. I'm not incompetent, and I know I'll definitely go to the doctor if I was crapping my pants every day and couldn't hold it back any longer. That's not always a fact, even though there is a factor of these assholes trying to play with the implant and will make you shit yourself. And the closer I get to my house, the harder me having to go to the restroom. They kept holding up a wiring harness in New York City, though, traveling around in a black van. Opened up the back doors and it had a medical bed in it, like an operating room, and we'll do this shit to you. But they didn't exactly do it in a black van. They did it at a hospital. The hospital doesn't even have the paperwork for it. I was blacked out drunk, but I remember, there's things that I remember. It's like getting raped. Rape victims don't remember everything except the rape, or maybe sometimes prior or after. Somebody else right there, I went to walk off, and that ideal strength of being concentrated on, right there, overhearing, left ear, Mel's voice, be a good kid. While there's also just that other tone of iteration with it, of interfering with the mind. Trying to control, dominate, or enforce controlment behaviorally, that what you're talking about is unacceptable. So I'm going to scold you. While I'm scolding you, I'm utilizing physical, verbal restraint of power and trying to systematically enforce that. They shouldn't have the right to systematically enforce against myself, because I'm not diagnosed incompetent to the point of having to have a caregiver. and they're just intentionally, no matter what, that type of stuff they'd have to have an authoritative paperwork signed to do, and they're just doing it anyways. I have a neighbor that used to work, what she says, and it ain't even a she, another transgender, says she worked with mental health. I have two other neighbors on the opposite side of me that we've gotten into physical altercations way in the past, and they physically assaulted me. May of 2011, showing me that they're law enforcement. They have a portfolio of criminal charges against me. You've waited almost 8 years now to do anything? Not even, you haven't waited for shit. You've been doing it, but I ain't been criminally charged? What kind of statute of limitations and rights are behind that to one? On top of me just saying, hey, for the people I'm talking to, yeah, they may be able to do it, but there's also been things in my past of corrupt actions happening. I don't have paperwork for the system, supposedly. Here, we'll take it on and handle it ourselves now. The state picked up the charges against the people. Your name's not even mentioned in the situation. Or that it's been redacted after so many years. So I can't go back and get that evidence because somebody else picked up the charges. But yeah, participating in the same illegal corruption in another state. Same way, same thing, everything else, and what you gonna do to us. But nobody's put it together. Overhearing as I'm saying that, Rod, calm down. Fuck you, dude. Eavesdrop on this. Sorry. They do that shit, and what? I talk back? That's schizoid. You should deal with it. Utilizing psychiatric enforcements. Well, with that, you impair somebody to become psychiatrically depressed, like trying to cause post-traumatic stress syndrome disorder, which can be caused, means you cause the situation. Don't you find that fraudulent? You cause the situation so you can dominate and control it, so you can utilize power with it, entertain yourself from it, but also be able to deem power over that person. How would you like your stalker to legally have a right to deem their power over you now? It doesn't matter how it happened, they still have a right to do it. Now anybody has the right to do it. It's a communal thing. It's lawful by that county or that city to allow the community to make that type of intervention, even though the community participated with tearing that person down. You have to prove that stuff. Who am I proving it to? Another homosexual that's in homosexual organized crime or organizational situation of how buttery things work. Everything's good, everything's fine. Black eye, head torn up, sliced up, everything else. Everything's perfect. It's good. That's the community. That's the way it is. Stupid shit like that. Anyways. Man, you want to be a rebel? That's good, see? It just supported you. Everything's fine now. I've been told they'll probably quit. They've already got a piece of you, so now they'll quit, and that didn't happen either. What a nice, real nice, helpful law enforcement situation to be told that, well, they already got a piece of you, so they probably won't come back for more. Right. Which has already happened. That's the whole point of the Moore situation of stalking. It never stopped. But anyways, with the incontinence, electrode implants, and them laughing. And this is all I want. We want to see if it works now, bitch, too. Because, hey, we got the right. Go prove it. Go prove it. The more you do this, we're going to lawfully enforce that you're incompetent and that you're in here bothering everybody. While I'm exposing homosexuality, our rights of privacy, and I talked to a psychologist about the same thing. They're demanding their rights of privacy and respect, but I can't do the same thing. No, you don't have it. We control you. We have a right to control you. Take guardian type enforcement and custodial right type of situation. You don't have a right. We do. Well, they done fucked up there. That's how they was marked off by a psychiatrist. Not only toxic as people, up to no good. There was already perjury found where they was trying to perjurize affidavits through the community, threatening, and then trying to set me up, sabotaging a setup. He's behaviorally agitated all the time. But they understood. They forgot to talk and tell that they did the agitation. I walk by, you call me a little girl. I walk by, hey bitch. Fuck yeah, I got upset. Did you report that you called names, you did other things, or there's other involvement of assaults prior or anything else, or you're associated with the people that's assaulted or done something wrong? And now not reporting that part, but hey, oh well. His actions are unbearable by law. You forgot to mention your actions were unbearable to begin with, and I'm standing my grounds. No, it was you out here gangbanging as a child calling us a bunch of fags. Karma goes around. I left state. That doesn't necessarily clean the situation up, but I was a minor and all the rest on top. An X amount of years, even 5 years before I really showed back up here permanently per se. And you're utilizing karma, bitch. My own family members that are homosexual attacking. They understand there's a family situation where they're trying to utilize family law, and with that also being associated, other people believing that's okay and joining in and trying to enforce that. The family is trying to get other gang members and other neighborhood members, and this is literal. All you have to do, hey, they wanted to take territorial rights, you can have it. The neighborhood's marked gangland, while you got a bunch of homosexuals utilizing homosexual gang members for access of power, and then trying to play with that power. You wanted to punk us, we're punking you back, type situation anyways. But there, even if you take away the gang or not, it's a group situation organized where you got two different parties illegally working, needs to be proven, but you got the family member utilizing the other people that they've influenced and persuaded to also utilize their community power basically as a domination act and entrapment of dominating and controlling another person with the enforcement. We both have legal rights and see fit to it. Psychologist at Twin Valley Mental Health here started catching on to it when I explained it back then, but I was well off more back then to explain it. So not only am I in a bad community that's entrapped, I'm just literally the targeted person. Then you get into the harder targeting of not just being messed with and everything else, trying to enforce homosexuality and gay traits, gay situation. I have to be obedient to it. There's laws that was understood. The law wouldn't have put up with it in the past, and that still wouldn't to this day, some of the things that they're doing, but they're trying to persuade gay rights, that's all they're working for. No, you're trying to dominate over somebody else and tell them they have to be specifically gay around you so you can feel better about yourself. There's also molestation with that happening as a child. There's other sexual assaults and everything else in the future. It grew to what it was. But hey, he doesn't have paperwork for it. Doesn't matter. His word's as good as his word. That's what he wants for his physical, lifeful self. Who are you to alterate, like you keep saying, who is he to alterate you? But now you've become such an asshole, and your people have showed so much force. Who are you really? Put it in your mind. The same thing you're questioning him. Who are you to tell him how to live his life? What he has to go by, the respects, what he needs to respect, and everything else. He doesn't want to respect homosexuality. He doesn't want to agree with it. He doesn't have to. And the way that you're deeming the respect is a controlling way of basically threatening that he has to become. That's not insecurity. Whatever you try to claim as an attack. It's already understood. You're attackful with your situations. And they just keep utilizing the communal situation full of homosexuals, literally. And it was understood, hey, you got a group of people. They ain't gang members. Just per se, you just put it in the ideology. Either it'd be blacks, it'd all be whites, it'd all be orientals, it'd all be gay people patting each other on the back. I won't tell on you, or I won't acknowledge things that we do, is patting each other on the back. If it's found out, the evidence built for it, they can get in trouble for it. But building that evidence while they're in here, oh, just because we are lenient with our own kind, you're trying to prosecute us? Isn't that wrong? Whatever they can conjure up. Ain't that the gameplay? While, hey, wait a minute. Get back into the main gameplay. That gameplay is completely different than trying to obliterate somebody's life rather than trying to scold or play a game with. Somebody trying to snatch life and then play the power control game. Ha! I'm the master control freak. I'm the master. I was able to organize, implement, and completely complete a plan of obliterating somebody. There's technical psychological wording for that, and other situations, psychologists use the words, they're at least control freaks. Cops involved with it. You have homosexual cops on duty. All you have to do is, hey, when you're trying to persuade them what's right and wrong, what's up, officer? And it's an instant snap. My kind of people, on top of iterating more understanding to those, I don't talk like you, buddy. And they're just in here gossiping away. They don't even have to be saying anything. So now if there's some type of altercation, any type of contact, whatnot, I'm automatically a suspect of being bad. On top of allowing it to be known, I don't agree with the homosexuality, but I also have roots behind my situation of, hey, this is how things worked and it's criminal. Your homosexuals are in here, oh well, good, we assaulted you, even though that was criminal. You're participating now with criminal acts as homosexual organized crime. The continuance of that is what also makes it homosexual organized crime. An organized criminal neighborhood and network of homosexuals. Community that I'm in because of gangland actions was placed into a severity of what is called a Category 5 criminal neighborhood. And it hasn't been dropped in 10 years. And everything has been obliterated, developmental and all the rest. If I understand correctly. We can't get delivery here during the nights. Once it turns dark, they don't deliver. There's people that don't deliver during the day here. So I'm not exaggerating. Oh my God, there's so much. Come to where I'm at and look and make the statistical count, first of all. How many homosexuals you see. Spouse, associated. Now we'll do association. You got brother, sister. The brother's not gay, but his sister is. It doesn't make him participant, but to a point he really is because he's supportive of his sister and then participating with the situation. That's still statistically countable as being accountability. I've already worked this out before. Come to the neighborhood and see what's going on. It's a guarantee it's going to put together homosexual. You're going to find out there's crime being related, the association relationship. Next thing you know, I just dub it as homosexual organized crime. I invite anybody to come do that. Columbus, Ohio, West Side Bottoms. I've done said. I was on Broad Street, McDowell, Rich Street, Town, Gift. There's all kinds of supposedly art districts. 400 West Rich Street. Guess where all your homosexuals hang out? There's a club that starts down there. Alcohol, club night. There's multitudes of different bars and everything else. You know what the bars think? Hey, don't fuck with my patrons. You have one gay guy that knows 500. That's my customers there, buddy. I don't care if they was screwing me right up the ass too. Hey, that's money. So I'm acceptance with it as long as they bring me my profit. I don't care. I don't care what's going on now either because, hey, I help you. It knocks them out. I don't get paid. So there goes that situation. Wow. Maybe you ought to move out of the gay community. Kind of hard when your city's the number 2 in the country of homosexuality. 2, being stalked and followed for sure. Across the United States, multitudes of years. You can't say years, decades. The same neighbors I have, I've seen in other states outright talking shit to me. Thing is, they was talking shit before I could fully identify them as being here. I identified them better after the effect, even though I knew they was from here or Colorado Springs. But then I was able to identify on top of them also agitating shit of calling out Colorado or calling out New York situations only I would kind of know about. So that type of indirect, they could make an insinuation of Tottenville, and the police would be like, Tottenville, that's all they said? And all the pain, the assaults that happen there, the police don't know the word Tottenville is full of all kinds of other shit. The claiming of the bad neighborhood there that they controlled, influenced, or stalked me into and took power and control and showed me that they dominated, or that showed me that they would react, that they would still commit their criminal crimes. With that being said, then trying to dub it out, it's law enforcement. Because there's a lot of law enforcement connectivity. Haha, what you gonna do to us, bitch? We're all brotherhood. We all agree the same, all the rest. I'm going to say this. They have gotten in trouble. It has went through a system before for that happening. Colorado Springs. I'm not the only complainant on that. It was taken into a city network of that type of network working and was busted. I have threats from Columbus, Ohio, while they're also iterating in other states, way, even in childhood, that there's somebody here with authoritative power, mass authoritative power attacking me and my family, but my family's a part of it. As far as being, either they've been taken over and controlled and started participating, no matter how it works. Now I'm the outside, left out person and the main part of that targeting. My family controls your family. We have legal rights from the 1800s. Your father killed my father. He lived, or your whatever grandfather, and it carries out your family name. I talked to a psychiatrist out here about the same thing. My grandfather on top type of situation without even making types. Here is the situations, which I'm not going to explain in this video, of what I seem to understand, what I was supposedly told, what not. And they said, this community that needs to leave you alone because that's his life and not yours. That should have already automatically been done. The police participating with the other assholes in here trying to make it out, scorned and scolded by my family's relations in the community, even when I wasn't around. I was out in another state as a child, or I was gone, whatnot. Them utilizing that situation of, hey, your grandfather was a dick, he was this type, an alcoholic, whatever. So you need to take the beating for that too. Your family needs to own up to the situations and all whatnot. I was told legally that's a crime. Now try to explain that to the police. Just what are you talking about? Really? And to me, I'd almost physically assault a cop for that. Most people would, especially when you've already been under physical duress of everybody being bigger, better, you're a pussy, all the rest, you ought to do something to me, trying to trigger the situation. So, anyways, that's also more of the triggering attributes and agitation, which a psychiatrist put together also, and told me technically the police should be able to put together anything you say also. For the things that you're telling us, it may not be technically put together, that's their job to do. They're trained that way. They can be tested. If you go in and make a complaint and you explain to them and that doesn't work it out, you go in and complain about it because your complaint should be understood, but it's understood. But yeah, we see now that there has to be a chain line of bad command there. Massively, it's starting to look like you're right with the massive situation. Somebody not just out to get you, but also participating or wrongfully participating. Misconducting the situation. So the pride, the protection, and the power of the system working, I'm being blamed that I'm not working it. That's because your system doesn't work. If that's the case, they need to pull federal fundings from these people until they learn to utilize those funds correctly, to be able to utilize those funds. Why not go get another city, take that federal funding and offer it to another city that could prosper from it, get their shit straight, be able to have a good life, because your city's not utilizing it well enough to be protecting anything. And we have statistics, really, like databases being accidentally deleted, all kinds of other shit. While the intimidation, everything's fine. You're just paranoid. You have to have evidence though, and the evidence, we just deleted it. There's an accessibility of also the entrapment of moving records around or whatever it be. You want to play our neighborhood joke? You want to be this? Hey, no, you tried to make me your neighborhood joke. Even a psychologist, like I'm going back into real quick, just said, I shouldn't be taking blame for the other family members as long as I wasn't participant, whatnot, while somebody else is in here trying to exaggerate an exuberant amount of what is uncommon law type of situation. Doesn't set me free because it's uncommon to a point if it's held accountable to certain situations, but it needs to be psychologically worked out too that, hey, he's not incompetent because even myself as a authoritative psychologist didn't understand that situation while they're in here beating, you're mentally retarded if you don't understand it. That's what that we want to disgrace you intellectually in the neighborhood and take away your rights and abilities. You don't understand it, that's your problem. Yeah, halfway fair with that. But to go learn about it and you get pissed off, jeopardize me from learning it. They broke into my house and stole 2 different books, self-help books, back in 2009. I had 13 books there. One of the books was $300. You wouldn't have missed it. They left that book. 2 self-help books to go into the system and reporting things and how things reported. And some had case versus case of how those cases went, to give a little bit of help to the person reading it. Of not only am I writing this and saying it works, this is the cases that it's worked in, or something to the effect. Just those 2 books. On top of other evidential paperwork. I had a stack of, say, 13 police reports. Not mine, but just going through a database of certain individuals in the community. 3 of those reports came up missing. They left the stack of paper and ransacked the rest of the house to make it look like. And then it worked, because I didn't understand it for a week or 2 later that those paperworks were missing until I went to go back to get it to make the report to show, and the reports were missing. I went back into the police database to reprint the situation, and it wasn't there. Tons of people with blank records all of a sudden. Or missing criminal charges outright. Oh, really? We're trying to base evidence. We're utilizing community law enforcement and whatever law enforcement works. So if somebody needs higher up to get involved to figure out what the fuck happened with that, while it's just being belittled, hey, they utilize this technique and this tactic against you because you're a criminal. Or whatever they had the rights to. We can do that. Well, I need the proof and evidence for my system psychologically that you tried such fucking tactic while you're also in here trying to, well, if we don't tell, it makes you look nuts. It makes you look psychiatrically impaired, or it psychiatrically impaired you, psychologically injured you, but it was underneath legal authoritation and oath. They need to come clean with that part to alleviate the psychological authority of discretion that, hey, I'm unstable, and they're not doing it. That's corrupted acts. That's misconduct and everything else. And being given the who gives a fuck you tell on us, you'll get it again. We'll just sabotage you. Or now we don't have to sabotage you paperworkly, physically enforce threats, stalk, and everything else. That we're watching you and we'll pick you up at any time. But at the same time, we'll just push a button on a device and fry your brains out. Fry your body up or cause you not to be socially right. Could you imagine standing there having a conversation and all of a sudden being electrically shocked or not, just to the point that you can't remember what the fuck you was talking about? Deep brain stimulator, vagus nerve stimulator. Look into vagus nerve stimulator and the symptoms of utilizing that. Look into deep brain stimulations and the symptoms. They may not be lasting, unless, of course, you get blasted in the brain by electrical waves like it is, causing brain network connection injuries, that it does start to last, just like electroconvulsive therapy. I have a benign tumor, which is explained usually coming from the split of the glands or where it is at due to electrical shock if it came from electroshock therapy. That'd be a severity. 2, the benign tumor coming up also as with a dialoid or implant, and we won't even use dialoid, it'd be a wire to start out with, implanted to the brain cell causing a mark in the brain that looks like a benign tumor. No matter what, the tumor shouldn't be there to a point, but that is a sign, a direct sign of both iterations. Brain damage. The tissue scarred, that's brain damage. I scratch your car, it's paint damage. No matter if you can take a marker, if it's a small scratch or not, it's still considered damaged. Now somebody's in here, here, we'll utilize that law enforcement later. You know how you get, you come scratch my car because I fucked with you. Even though there is some of that. And it ain't even just getting out of hand. Hey, you bust my window out, I bust your window out. You psychologically alterate me, revenge attacks. At which point, I wasn't the one completely understood of revengefully attacking, just like in Colorado Springs. Just like in New York, just like elsewhere. And they're getting pissed off when they get popped. And when they do, hey, we'll just get you back. We know how to work this system. But revenge assaults, hey, I act back. We'll hold you accountable and make the police and make it sabotage to the point you're held accountable and we get away with what we're doing. That's what makes us better than you. And they do that all the time. Sound effects, iteration of mental retardation. There he is. You walk out your door. Hey, what's up? Now that they're in trouble or know that they're under investigation, it cuts off. The investigation's quit, and immediately it starts back. And they get it to the point of belittling of the exact day of when the investigation's quit, per se, or advised, or even not advised. You just know the investigations or the police that you connected to, external law enforcement, has left with no evidence, more than likely. And they start back. That's right, bitch. Really? Well, let me catch you calling me a bitch again. I'm done with it. You're smaller. We're giving you muscle relaxers and your food, haha, causing your body to be weak. We can press a button on the machine and cause you to be weak. Look into vagus nerve stimulation, deep brain stimulation. Look into the criminality test research 2015. I'll get the report and I'll put it in a link in this video of them testing deep brain stimulation in criminals, even though those criminals consented to having that done. They had to sign paperwork and allow the research to be done to them. I did not consent. You know I didn't consent, or else I wouldn't be complaining. I'd be standing here probably, or at least better off, because all I'd have to say is stop the research, I'm not feeling good. No, they've taken it overboard to the point I've been completely lively, socially, physically, mentally injured, completely obliterated. Well, don't be playing hardcore gang members. The police in the neighborhood, we know what gang members are. We participate. We have an ability, and you're upsetting them. You're offsetting them. Can you tell me, once again, my proof of evidence is how the hell did they erect the staging capabilities when I showed up? To stage the community, there's witnesses, and you should be a witness. You know your community, that as soon as I leave also, it dies out. I'm not the participant, I'm the target of it. While you're saying it's lawful, but no matter what, you're not including that in any of your reports or assessment. Time for you to go ahead and quit. It's time for me to expose Columbus, Ohio, of running a corrupt network ring and whatever else that they can, power-wise. Not even just gangsta drug dealing, but everything under the sun against other states, other cities, dominating, which has partially been caught. Or taking representation that somebody with authority is out here in another city with you trying to erect some type of gesture, or trying to legally, systematically making contact, even though we understand now it's with that persuasion that we're brotherhood and we're not. They didn't have a legal right to be here stalking you, so they wouldn't have a legal right to file the fucking paperwork. That would be legal to a certain extent to deal with. But anyways. So yeah, it's been caught that they're from, and it was pointed directly, said Columbus, Ohio, in multitudes of different locations. Not just New York City, New York, Tucson, Arizona, Florida, St. Petersburg, even just me traveling, hiking around the highway. If I sat around a day, two, or even not, somebody coming up telling me, hey, you're being stalked. There's people out here causing problems with you. But they also had their corrupt police stalking to where they wouldn't identify shit. Hey, you wanted to treat us ignorant, we'll give you the same feeling back. Hey, you got treated ignorant because you was ignorant. You got reported and fucked up when you're trying to say it wasn't fair, it doesn't matter, you got convicted, and you're telling me the same thing? Or your buddy, your family member got messed up because there was a report made and you're in here attacking, but yet at the same time, hey, you at the treatment? You want to play with treatment? I'll play with treatment, which it's illegal for them to a certain extent to play with that type of mentality of treatment. They have a professionalism they have to stand to no matter what. I don't. So, with that being said, but there are other things we can do. That's right. Other things you're employed where, and what can you do? Here in Columbus, or are you trying to figure out the loopholes and where you could pull your play that most people wouldn't understand you didn't have a right to, and make it enforceable, make it plausible, and take advantage of everybody corruptly, because a lot of people misunderstand, or they just are dominated by your authoritation. It's okay when it's not. That's what you're talking about? That's what I want to question. Anyways, well, in this situation, I don't have much to record with left. I will say in this, target of unlawfulacts.com, hopefully I start posting there. That's a website. Stalking, look into the video. Stalking is right there. There's other self-help situations besides self-help, other websites like Vice talking about implants, people who complained about those implants also being socially targeted. One individual had sued a company because of the implants. The only way the implants would be in his body is they're the only makers of those type of situations. It wasn't who did it to him, but the maker of the object that was in his head. That's the only company that made that type of situation. So he sued them for their equipment being in his body mysteriously. With that being said, there's other little bits and pieces. For myself, what I'm going to say at the end of this: eavesdropping, wiretappings, stalking completely across the United States, multitudes of decades since I've been an adult. There's tons of other things to talk about. The electronic implant, New York City, New York, January 26th or 28th of 2010. I went back to get that paperwork in 2011 and lost the damn printout that I had, and that's what they account on because I was homeless and poor. I didn't have enough money to fly back and forth, so I just traveled out there by foot. And anyhow, they do have an anonymous piece of paperwork at one hospital. I noticed, and I remember being at the other hospital and being transported. Why would you transport a person that's in there for detoxification? They shouldn't have done that. I called the anesthesia board. They wanted to know more. I didn't go back and report to them, but I could probably do that at any time and put the case incident, because there would have to be personnel on those duties. If those personnel was busted years later, just like here in Columbus, Ohio, supposedly, hasn't been proven, of a doctor overdosing patients intentionally, then I would be another case for that situation, type of situation, even if it's 20 years ago. But statute of limitations causes to where I can't file a lawsuit for myself unless the state itself has a representation representing it and asking people to come in. So I still could report the situation. Anesthesia board, because I was given medications, sedated or not, no matter what, they still have to affirm through certain boards, medical boards and everything else. Talk to them, and that's what I said. They wanted me to talk to them, even though I didn't fully physically go in and talk. I did it over the phone. They wanted me to physically come in or make a complaint on paperwork or file out whatever I can or talk to one of their advocates, and I never followed up fully with that, but they got a full-blown situation, at least an understanding. They wanted me to come in and get the records a definite day of my records of when it happened. That's what it was. I told them in between those 2 days whatnot, and I'm sure of that for the most part. Yeah, they wanted me to come in definite with the days. That way they can specifically say what doctors were on duty at that time, the time, dates. Anyways, carrying on with that, all kinds of other things being utilized. LRAD, they had the New York City LRAD truck sitting right across the street from my house when there was an expo in Columbus, though. Isn't it coincidental? It was also sitting downtown, and I took pictures of it downtown. It was only sitting out here for, I don't know how long, but I do know once I noticed it, it moved on. So, that being said, that's micro voicing right there. Even though somebody else keeps saying it's not, hey Rodney boy, trying to scold, condemn. You don't tell the public unlawful, unhonest, wrong information. Really, what is supposedly done with that device can be enhanced, can be moderated. So hey, it still has a capability. Even if that what you're saying certified, it's not certified to be that capable. It still has that capability. And of course, hey, I walk in, I overclock my computer. You're not supposed to do it per se, but hey, you can do it. I did it anyways to get that extra power. Oops, slapped me on the hand, oh well. There's other devices being utilized, tons, besides implant situation where it's remote controlled. Look into deep brain stimulator, look into wireless cellular controlling of like CPAP masks. They don't even have to take it into a doctor. You call into the doctor and they cellularly modify the device over a network. Is that not enough example of remote to you? Anyways, tons of other psychological ops works and everything else that they can work. And when it gets into it, that's psycho. That's unstable, you're paranoid, you're causing an exertion of alertness, warning, paranoid to other people, and it's causing like a rampage, and you can't do that. It's causing people to be upset or misunderstanding, and it just doesn't feel good. I won't say I don't give a damn. I really don't give a damn because I'm affected by it, but I understand you giving a damn. Somebody needs to come in and tell me how in other states automatically a cop can tell me I just seen 3 people fucking swirl around him, basically what we would define as stalking or looking, watching, profiling. There is gang iterations, there is cartel type of situations, there is jurisdictional abuse, meaning people from Colorado Springs getting busted in Tucson, Arizona, Florida, New York. But Tucson and Florida took up on a lot of that. There's other incidences elsewhere. I didn't hang around long enough. I was traveling through, so I wouldn't remember it as well right offhand. That's sad, even just traveling through. Being picked up by other officers that aren't participating, somehow fleeing at the enforcement, persuasion, and the stalking rings that were going on interstate-wise, and somebody telling me there's at least 20 cars doing an interstate, basically profiling. They keep doing loops, each of them, doing loops around you type of situation. They'll go up to the next turn-off, turn around, while their buddy's already turned around coming this way, keeping you under watch. There's nothing in our computer system that they have a right to do it to and with, so it's not lawful. Even if they're trying to say they're law enforcement, we would have been able to pull it up in our computer. If not, it wouldn't matter. We pull them over, they would have to explain how they're doing it, and they couldn't, because really they would have to register it into our computer to say it's okay. It'd be a cop getting criminally charged even if they're on duty because they didn't have a complete lawful right under a certain amount of law, being criminally charged with stalking, following, and all the rest, which there has been incidences as such already happened. Cops arresting cops, joyriding around in police vehicles type of situation. Sounds petty, but when it comes down to helping you out from being communally obliterated and put down, disgraced, and everything else, it becomes gold for the fact, hey, that cop's no longer in service, or it shows a representation to the community that there's asininity, I'm being targeted, it was illegal type of situation. And the people who were persuaded by the illegal acts now understand they was illegal acts. Not proper, should have been witnessed and reported by the community, but either you being afraid to do it, you not wanting to do it, or participating with it wasn't correct in either 3 stances when you're trying to hold him accountable to competency, community workings, and the ability of social works when your own social works faulted out. Was not complied to, was not compliant. But anyways, that being said, I guess I'll end this video. Running out of space. It's a pretty lengthy video anyhow. But here goes that incontinence feeling. The glorification, while I'm having some psychiatrists tell me, I can tell you how you think, I know how it works, and it's psychologically illegal, and you could be locked up for it. Remember, the neighbor next door said she used to also work with the psychiatries. She worked in the facilities, hurting other patients, bending their fingers back in the day until it was legalized that they wasn't allowed to do that. Crippling a person type of situation. On top, that's not just her doing it. There's other psychological corruption going on here in Columbus, literally with the system, allowing the situations to happen. While they also tried to apply for shit outside the state of New York and just enforcing that, see what we can do to you. On top of trying to take away, which I was already represented on, taking away freedoms, rights, and everything else wrongfully. That socially attacking somebody is criminal, no matter who's doing it. But hey, we got legal rights. I'll show you how this works. I'll just prove to everybody you're mentally nuts. That mentally nuts or that instability, how do they know that you didn't cause that? They may not even understand what that means. You causing PTSD and triggering shit and making the other person look bad while they're like, hey, everybody could understand it. They don't know that the assaultant's in here persuading them, or and some of them do. That makes them associated even worse. But no matter what, you're in the wrong. The people understanding this are under certain persuasion by the criminal, the stalker, the assailant, the toxic individual themselves. Anyways, with that being said, I have to go do something myself. And that's another thing. Are you sure being tested? You know, we could put you on medication, forced medication, assault. It was talked with psychiatrists. Nobody's to assault me with medication. It would be considered threat of assault. Misdemeanor unless they are administrating it, and it would be complete full-blown assault if they administrated it. Even pill form, no matter what it is. Including the police. So, that being said, I'm going to end this video, and that's that. And right now, all of a sudden, a rush, and I have to rush off this video. Peace.